613.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, downtown. Good job, Commissioner Kenny.
All right, go.
Go.
Okay, so downtown working group was Commissioners Anderson and Flores. Thank you. I'm going to group these into what will be 5 packages. And I want to start with number 2. So this is the zoning map amendment. And I'm going to clean up some of the language as I read through some of these, so the wording might be a little bit different than what's exactly written on the spreadsheet here. So this has to do with the zoning for downtown, and I'm reading in the intent, no suggested language. Staff is to explore more sites mapped as DC instead of CC to allow for maximum development potential in areas of downtown where density is expected, like the eastern 2/3 and the southwestern corner, and where sites are already constrained by capital view corridors. So I've got the map that can be pulled up in case anybody wants to reference the current draft of zoning.
Is this the first group, and this is the first one of the first group?
Sorry, this will be the first one by itself.
By itself, okay.
Yes.
All right. If it's by itself, is there a second? Second by Commissioner Flores. Staff?
Staff would be opposed to this, given council's direction to follow the downtown Austin plan and not to make any increases in base entitlements.
Okay, thank you. Does that change anything, Commissioner Hempel?
Do I have a few minutes to talk about it?
You can present it. You have 3 minutes to.
Sure. Can I ask that we bring the downtown map up on the exhibit screen?
The PDF.
Okay.
So everything that is light pink is CC and the purple is DC.
Okay, so you have 3 minutes to speak to your motion.
Okay, so some bullet points here. The DC's purpose, as is written in the LDC revision, is to be the most intense urban mixed-use zone intended to implement the downtown Austin plan and serve as regional center for residences, employment, shopping, entertainment, and services in downtown Austin. The CC zone's purpose, as written in the LDC revision, is intended to implement the downtown Austin plan that transitions from neighborhoods to downtown Austin. So if these purposes are implemented through mapping, it should allow for remapping of CC to DC where the property is serving as regional center and not as a transition to a neighborhood. It also removes CC transitional zoning from the center of the central business district. The only transition area in downtown is at the northwestern district in Judges Hill. Other areas of downtown should be zoned DC. And then the final point I want to make here is that the areas around the Capitol and along I-35 are experiencing an unprecedented amount of public and private investment, like the state capitol complex where several new high-rise buildings are planned, the recently completed and still expanding UT Dell Medical School and the teaching hospital, and the redevelopment of the Brackenridge campus. So the properties near these anchor institutions should be allowed to develop to provide the housing and jobs needed to support them, and DC zoning will allow them to maximize their potential so that they can serve the community.
Okay, thank you. Questions? Go ahead, Commissioner Kenny.
Questions for staff. I guess I want, if a building in the downtown area, CC or DC, and feel free to distinguish between the two, participates in the affordable bonus program, do they have FAR constraints under the bonus configuration?
It depends what sub-district they're in.
And I guess I'm wondering why, because it seems like downtown to me, those buildings, they go straight up, and I don't quite get it.
So the existing bonus sub-district map has caps on FAR and height, and it varies through downtown. For the bonus, we agreed that, and one of council's directions was for the bonus to be unleashed, if you will. And so in the more intense sub-districts, those caps on FAR and height have been lifted in the draft.
And is that one of the differences between CC and DC, that DC is unleashed in the bonus?
It's not based on the CCDC base entitlement or the zone. How much they can achieve through the bonus is really based on the sub-district they're in the downtown density bonus program.
And do we still use an overlay map, or are we now using zoning to designate the height allowed?
For the bonus, still an overlay map.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Commissioner Zar?
I had a question. I'm just trying to understand this. So from my understanding, moving from CC to DC would essentially mean that the bonus pretty much goes away. Because the bonus is only within CC. DC does not have bonus height or FER.
So the bonus, it would not mean that, because those two zones both fall within various sub-districts of the downtown density bonus map. They can participate in that. What it would really mean is that the base entitlement FAR would change. If it went from CC to DC, would go up, the base entitlement.
And I guess I would have this question for the working group. Did y'all consider a way to tackle this? And again, this is maybe creating more zones, or the dash, I don't know what to come up with now, but dash something alpha. Essentially to say that any increases are all captured in a bonus rather than within base. Is that something that y'all considered or talked about? I'm just curious.
No, we didn't talk about that as a group. A lot of this is driven by just the way that downtown has developed in the past 10 years, that the downtown Austin plan couldn't have imagined capturing that kind of density coming in. So also I wanted to mention, we had heard from quite a few people, both just to the working group, but some people that were at the October 26th public hearing who were talking about height increases, DC zoning in the northwestern quadrant, and they, having lived their own property there, just don't understand why it's capped to be this lower height, lower density.
Yeah, and I think overall I just want to say I feel like I'm not necessarily against like the density or the height, but more essentially the difference between the bonus and the base. But I hear what you just said, so thank you.
Commissioner Shea?
So, in your discussions with this, I mean, did you guys work this or discuss with the Downtown Austin Alliance, and they're supportive of this as well?
Yes, Downtown Austin Alliance, we met with Dana, Downtown Austin Neighborhood Association, the West Downtown Austin, several stakeholder groups.
Mm-hmm.
But DAA is very supportive of this.
Okay, but it is counter, from what I understand, it is counter to the Downtown Austin plan.
Yes.
Okay, which is how old? You said 10 years?
10
And it hasn't been updated, it's just like
Correct.
our other neighborhoods?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so a vote for this would be against council directive, is that correct? Just to be clear, because my understanding from staff, it is.
Our understanding of council's direction was to map in accordance with the downtown Austin plan.
Gotcha, okay. Thanks.
So I'll just quickly ask a question to the group here, just about that concept of, if the density bonuses are still prescribed by the overlay, and if we're messing around with the base heights, then it's clearly in conflict with council direction. I just want to, this is a question to the group. just to comment on how we feel about that. No answers?
I feel like it's completely against our, if we're increasing base entitlements, I have a major concern about losing bonus affordability. It's true that the downtown plan was written during a recession. Nobody imagined, at one point a few years ago, I was talking to a developer about this who knows the issue really well. And, it was like the max value was something like $650 per square foot in downtown. Nobody thought they would ever see it, and it's jumped to 1,000. I mean, this is like a hotter market than anybody could have possibly imagined. It's absolutely, in my opinion, a place we need to capture as much value through the bonus as possible, and I don't think it's a good idea to increase the base entitlements. I definitely think that, without the bonus, and I understand it would still be part of the bonus, but messing with the base entitlement, I have a concern about that. And I definitely remember the couple that spoke about the slope. There's a similar situation in East Austin that we've heard about a lot, with a lot more risks associated with them than that other one. But I guess given the feasibility, I'd be much more interested in seeing a tweak there where it's feasible. But even in that case, I'd rather see a lower base entitlement just to ensure that we're capturing more for what we're giving away.
And can I make I'm just gonna go ahead and make a substitute motion here. That I think I'll first say the motion, which would essentially be that I think we go to the DC height with bonus. So I don't know if that's CC with the dash alpha, omega, whatever we want to call it. But essentially to see that we keep the base to the CC, different subzone bases, and we go up to DC maximum height with to the bonus, yeah. Essentially, base doesn't change at all, and we go up to DC through bonus.
I think what you're saying, since DC doesn't have a height limit, I think you're saying CC with unlimited bonus.
Okay, so essentially it would be like CC with an unlimited bonus. Okay, thank you for helping me draft that. So essentially, yes, I'm saying CC with the base as is and an unlimited bonus that is captured for affordable housing.
Is there, go ahead.
Yeah, and I can speak to it after I get a second.
Is there a second? Okay, second by Shay. All right, staff, could you comment on how this plays with the overlay? Or is this the wrong tool?
So if you actually get that with the overlay, depending on what sub-district you're in. So if you're a CC zone, if you're a CC 120 in a sub-district that has unlimited height in FAR, you would get that just by participating in the downtown density bonus program.
Is that true of all of them, all CC zones?
It is not true of all CC zones.
I think that's what this amendment is doing. Does it conflict with the overlay?
It as it currently is, it would go beyond some of those overlay sub-districts.
And is that okay? Can it be reconciled at some point?
I think we'd have to talk about whether it's okay or not.
Okay. All right. Questions? Commissioner Yanis-Burrito?
Can I speak to my motion for a second?
Go ahead. Sorry, I'm sorry.
So I think, just to say, I think one of the things that I'm hearing is, and I'm sorry, let me restate this. So my substitute motion is now consider an unlimited CC with the base remaining as is. Do I think to answer your question, we're saying consider this, go and figure out what it does with the subzones. The idea being we're trying to capture as much within bonus as possible. Speaking to the motion, and I'll just say I think what I'm hearing from the downtown working group, and I really appreciate your work on this. One, I think we all understand the downtown plan is somewhat outdated, needs to be updated. What it sounds like is you have worked with pretty much, I cannot speak for, I do not know if all the stakeholders, so the majority of the stakeholders agree that this is okay, and I think it would make it so much more amenable if we were doing this with the aim of affordability, and I think that's what I see with this substitute motion, so that's what I'm
So,
suggesting.
with the consideration of the subzones, I'll just caution you that it might already be happening with the overlay.
And I guess, like, I think hearing that in some places it might be, some places not, so I think that's why I did the word consider do my thing, to just go and see if that works, does not work, wherever it can be applied reasonably.
Okay, questions while staff is sort of prepping? Commissioner Shaw?
Well, so it's a general guide to staff that in the northwest area, I mean, do we have any kind of, it's just a few of them or all of the northwest? I'm just trying to think of the magnitude of the remapping, what we're considering here.
I've got an exhibit for one of my other amendments that shows it.
Oh, that would be great.
If you wanna pull up the
'Cause
Word document.
I'm just, so,
Staff, do you mind putting back up that map of downtown?
So this is the downtown density bonus program map. So you can see everything that's in gray or not in color is not within the program right now.
One note on the map, the legend is not correct. It needs to be corrected. So the legend that has the old provisions, the actual map is what the new code is proposing, where it says no height, no FAR limit. So just an FYI.
Say that one more time.
The map is correct, the legend is incorrect.
Gotcha, okay. Read the map, got it. Okay,
so the areas in gray are currently zoned D, what are they zoned, CC? Okay.
They are currently not eligible to participate in the downtown density bonus program.
Okay.
And I think they actually have a variety of different base zoning zones.
But they're not, they can't qualify for the density bonus program in the gray.
They can't qualify for the downtown density bonus program. And actually I am a little unclear because some of the zones that are mapped there actually do have bonus programs. So I think we need to figure out if they would be eligible for those. But I just wanted to make sure everyone knows that in the downtown Austin plan, there actually were height limits in some of these areas, and so what is actually proposed in this draft is that there wouldn't be FAR or height limits in some of these areas with the bonus. And so it is allowing those additional entitlements in many parts of downtown, but keeping the base entitlements intact.
So we're, some of those gray areas, the reason they were CC and maybe there were height limits was compatibility with neighborhoods? Is that why they were mapped that way?
As part of the downtown plan, and especially the downtown density bonus program development, those were areas that were that through the process they determined that those areas would not be included in the downtown density bonus program. And I don't know if we want to pull up a zoning map. Well, I guess we just had the zoning map up. Just to show that there are a variety of zones mapped up in parts that aren't eligible for the downtown density bonus program, but some of those zones actually do have bonus options. Especially the orange and maroonish color in kind of northwest downtown.
okay. Any other questions? This is the Azar Shea amendment. Could you repeat that amendment for me, please?
So the amendment is essentially to consider an unlimited CC with where the base remains the same, wherever CC is currently mapped within downtown. I'm sorry, what? Unlimited bonus, yeah, sorry. Did I not say that?
Is this a substitute?
Yes, this is a substitute.
Okay. All right, any other questions? Commissioner Yanes Pulido?
When we talk about the bonus, are we talking about, and we talk about affordability, are we talking about 10% of overall units of the development or 10% of the bonus units? Or what's the percentage?
So it's 10% of the bonus, so it's above the base entitlements, which is in, a big chunk of downtown, it would be 8-1 FAR as the base.
Any other questions? Speaking against? Commissioner Shaw?
Let me just clarify, is this on the amendment or the whole thing?
This is a substitute motion.
No, substitute. Yeah, I'm just, how this all works together, I think the CC, from what I heard, I know we've talked about a lot, that this was kind of designed for a certain purpose, and I think we're using it in a different way. Just from what I think the intent was to offer more of a compatibility zone in between kind of the neighborhoods and the DC. So if we're blowing it up to full height, I think that's kind of what the DC was for, to reach those heights. And anyway, I'm just, this is very confusing. There's a lot of, downtown is very complex, and I'm just not sure if we're doing the right thing here.
Speaking for? Commissioner Hempel?
I wanted to point out that with this amendment, this is in line with the policy directive that talks about code and map revisions maximizing potential for employment in residential units within downtown.
Speaking against? Speaking for? Let's take a vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Amendment, the substitute. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Opposed? Abstaining? All right, that motion passes 11-1. All right, one down.
All right, so the good news is that number 1, under downtown mapping, we have talked about intent here, reading just the intent in, and this is just by itself, the others will be grouped. Staff to look into adding downtown density bonus to the northwest area of downtown that is not currently included.
I have a question on that, since essentially the substitute that we just passed said, for all areas that are currently mapped CC, so that would be CC and DC, didn't that automatically just happen in our previous motion?
It probably did. I probably can remove this one.
And this is just a question. If it is, I guess we can remove it, was my intent.
Yeah, I move that we can remove this one and move on.
Okay. All right, next.
Okay, so the next one I'll cover will be number 3, 4, and 5. So these have to do with commercial center or CC zone and the downtown core zones. So this is where I'm going to read in some language that cleans up what you've got in your spreadsheets. And I am just reading an intent. So for the first one, staff to look at increasing all CC subzones to a 5-1 FAR, letting the CC subzone height maximums, not the FAR, be the limiting factor. The next one being staff to look at increasing CC subzone heights, CC 40 to CC 50, CC 60 to CC 75, CC 80 to CC 90. This essentially allows one additional floor without diminishing the effect of the height limit or compromising the character of the area.
So Commissioner Hempel, let me get staff response on each one first.
Okay.
Okay, on the first one, increase 5-1 FAR.
So actually, I think staff's response is going to be the same for all of them, which was the first response about we'd be opposed because of the deviation from council direction on following the downtown Austin plan and their direction on holding base entitlements where they are.
Okay.
And to add to that, just a reminder that fees from the downtown density bonus program go to provide housing for the homeless. And so when you increase base entitlements, it will very likely decrease the amount of funding that could go to house the homeless.
Okay. Commissioner Hempel, number 5.
staff to look at increasing the DC FAR from 8-1 to 12-1 to provide FAR equal to Robinson Ranch in the domain current zoning. So that's the 3.
Okay. Is there a second? There is not a second. Oh, Commissioner Howard. Okay. Questions?
Do I get a few minutes to?
Yes, please.
Okay. On the increasing the CC subzones FAR, we're wanting the FAR, or we're saying that it should be consistent with allowable heights in all zones. So when tested by AIA, as mapped, CC 40, 60, and 80 could only reach 50 to 66% of the zone's allowable height because of the FAR limits. And then increasing the DC FAR from 8-1 to 12-1. A couple of points here. This provides downtown with the competitive edge it needs to provide the needed housing units and jobs to meet the city's goals per the directive. It provides FAR equal to the current zoning of Robinson Ranch in the domain. Businesses and housing developers are finding the domain's development requirements to be more attractive and less restrictive than downtown. And secondly, downtown could potentially add another 45 million square feet. Most of the remaining sites downtown are half or quarter blocks, so FAR limits potential more than it did when the downtown Austin plan was done, adopted 10 years ago. Projects will still need to use the affordable housing density bonus program in order to build out to meet market demand. 12-1 base FAR would put downtown Austin in a better position to create more homes and jobs for the region. And last point is the Imagine Austin comp plan identifies downtown as the regional center that should have been the greatest density of people and jobs and the tallest buildings in the region. So the new code should really let downtown be downtown.
Okay. Thank you. Questions? I have one for staff. So how was downtown treated? And secondly, how was council directive achieved if the overlay hasn't changed? I mean, how are we adding density to downtown without doing that? Without changing the overlay? Has there any work been done on downtown in this draft?
So some of the downtown provisions were tweaked so that impervious cover went from 95 to 100%, and setback was changed from 5 feet to 0. The main thing was that the bonuses were uncapped in some of those sub-districts. So although it does keep the base entitlements the same, it allows projects to have, unlimited opportunity through the bonus to achieve height and FAR.
Okay.
So that is trying to strike a balance of the council direction of not upzoning, but also finding ways to increase capacity, right? And so raising that cap, removing the cap, creates the potential for more market rate bonus units alongside the provision for or meeting affordable
Thank you.
requirements.
So I've got a couple more minutes. So Commissioner Hempel, was the discussion in the working group or AIA or the stakeholders about increasing the base entitlements?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
So I think we're trying to get at a certain intent here with these motions, and these are very prescriptive, which I thought was kind of what we were trying to avoid. I mean, obviously somebody did their homework, but I think it's kind of locking staff in to very specific ratios and details that we might want to give them a little more flexibility. Is there any way to kind of sum this up in one intent that's more broad but gets to what we're trying to accomplish here, just to give staff a little more flexibility?
So I think Commissioner Hempel did start by saying staff to look at. I don't know what flexibility that is, but if you want to respond to that.
Yeah, well, it's just, okay, it's just giving look at these numbers exactly. I'm just trying to get back to our idea of going off intent.
I had added some language to say staff should look
Okay.
into.
And Commissioner Shaw, your point is to scale back even further
Yeah,
and try
not
to
use exact numbers. What are we trying to achieve here, and just keep it simple? I mean, that's at a high level. And if I had another 20 minutes, I could probably do something here to offer some substitution, but I don't think we have the time.
Yeah,
But I
so
don't know if any of the team could maybe summarize this. You had a very good talk about what we're trying to accomplish with this, and maybe that would be a little more.
yeah, so like on number 3, it sounds like you could do something like FAR not be the limiting factor. That's kind of general.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's something similar on these other 2, but it's your amendment, Commissioner Hempel, so you can leave it as is if you'd like. Other questions while Commissioner Hempel is thinking about that?
A possible amendment would be to let these increases be bonuses and not base.
Staff, is that happening already, or?
I think that that's happening already through the bonus program. And by removing the cap. So if you keep the basis the same, and there's no limit through the bonus, then
FAR or height?
FAR or height, yeah.
Yep. My original motion was unlimited CC, so that would be unlimited FAR and height, as is currently in the downtown sort of subzones, the map that we saw. So that was at least definitely my intention.
Well, based on what staff is saying, it's already, even your amendment is already in there.
Sorry, to clarify, the amendment as we understood it was all CC.
All CC outside of the area.
Yes, and because currently the sub-districts cover really CC 120, but there are other CC sub-districts not
Exactly.
covered.
So essentially that said CC. So I guess to say these all impact base. So I know I will oppose these because these impact base. So I think we're already getting a lot of density through bonus, is my understanding. Through bonus, you now have unlimited FAR, unlimited height, but this is essentially getting at the base, and I can see that there are reasons to talk about the base. But yeah.
Okay, so Commissioner Hempel, can we withdraw that amendment? I think that's already happening. Any other questions? Speaking against? Commissioner Azar?
So I think I'll speak against it. I think I understand that to have a downtown that is in some ways vibrant, we need to have a certain amount of allowability. I would like to capture all of that increase entitlements within a bonus, not within any changes to base. So essentially trying to maximize increase our affordability, as we heard, which goes towards homelessness and other things. So I would vote against this only because I don't want any changes in base. And I go back to my substitute of saying, which we already voted on, to say that we can make changes, just do it all with a bonus and have a commitment towards affordability.
Okay, I'll jump in and I'll propose pulling this out because I think with the discussion that we've had and what we voted on, it sounds like we're covering this.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay.
All right, number 6.
I'm gonna group number 6 and 7 together.
Okay.
So this is, I just wanted to point that this was supported by a couple of key stakeholders for these 2 amendments, downtown Austin Alliance and the Waterloo Greenway. So these go hand in hand. The first amendment, reading in just intent, staff to explore a new development adjacent to Waller Creek and within the Waller Creek local government corporation boundary be exempted from the